If you want beach living without beach chaos, you might be looking in the wrong city, because more buyers right now are choosing Redondo Beach, and there is a reason. Buyers are continually choosing Redondo Beach time and time again. Not only is it more affordable than some of the other beach cities, it comes with a perfect beachside community people can never leave from. Hey guys, I'm Lucy Salem, your local real estate agent here in the South Bay of Los Angeles. Redondo Beach has become one of the most intentional moves in the South Bay. Not because it's loud, not because it's trendy, but because it works for real life. Today's video will break down why so many people are choosing Redondo Beach right now, from lifestyle and housing to schools, neighborhoods, and long-term opportunity. Redondo Beach doesn't feel like a place you escape to. It feels like a place you settle into. Daily life here has a rhythm that's different from much of Los Angeles. Mornings here feel calmer. Afternoons stretch a little longer. Evenings don't feel rushed. People walk more. They spend time outside without planning it. The beach isn't something you save for the weekends. It's just part of your lifestyle. That matters more to people here than expected. Instead of constantly feeling behind, life here feels more balanced. You're still busy, you still work, but your environment supports you instead of draining you. That's one of the biggest reasons why people start looking seriously in Redondo Beach. Some beach cities can feel intense. You have parking issues, crowds, tourists everywhere, streets that feel more like a destination rather than a neighborhood. Redondo Beach strikes a different balance. It has coastline, ocean air, and beach access, but it still feels like a community built for residents. There are quiet streets, neighborhood parks, schools woven into daily life. You can enjoy the coast without feeling like you're living in a resort zone. For buyers who want coastal living that feels normal, Redondo Beach becomes a natural fit. So before we go into why people want to move to Redondo Beach, let's talk about where Redondo Beach is here in the South Bay. So if you're new to the South Bay, or even if you've lived in Los Angeles for years, Redondo Beach can be a little bit confusing geographically. People hear the South Bay and they think it's just this one small pocket, but it's actually a collection of cities along the southwestern edge of Los Angeles County. So let's break it down clearly. Redondo Beach is one of the 3 beach cities here in the South Bay. Those 3 big beach cities are Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and Redondo Beach. And Redondo is the southernmost of those 3. If you picture the coastline running north to south along the Pacific Ocean, it goes Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and then Redondo Beach. The entire stretch sits along the Santa Monica Bay, facing west toward the Pacific Ocean. So geographically, Redondo Beach is about 20 to 25 miles southwest of downtown Los Angeles. It's far enough from the city center that it feels calmer and more residential, but close enough that commuting is still very realistic. To give you more context around the borders, so to the north, Redondo borders Hermosa Beach. To the south, it connects into the city of Torrance. And to the east, you'll find inland South Bay cities like Lawndale, Gardena, and Hawthorne. And to the west, of course, you have the Pacific Ocean. This positioning is actually one of Redondo's biggest advantages. You're coastal, meaning you get the ocean air, beach access, and sunset views, but you're not isolated. So North Redondo has a relatively convenient access to major commuter routes like 405 freeway, while Pacific Coast Highway runs directly through the city and connects you to the rest of the coastline. So from a commuter standpoint, Redondo Beach is also 15 to 25 minutes away from LAX, depending on the traffic. And that's a huge draw for professionals who travel frequently or work in nearby job hubs like El Segundo, Playa Vista, or even downtown LA. Now within Redondo itself, it's going to be divided into 2 main sections. We're gonna talk about another one, but 2 real main sections. So you have North Redondo and South Redondo. So North Redondo sits inland Island, closer to Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach. It generally is more residential with a mix of single-family homes and townhomes. Because it's a little farther from the water, you'll often find slightly larger lots and more functional layouts and easier freeway access. Whereas South Redondo, on the other hand, runs along the coastline. This is where you'll find the Redondo Beach Pier, King Harbor, and many of the ocean-adjacent neighborhoods. It has more of the classic coastal feel, walkability, ocean views, and quick beach access. So there's also the Riviera area, often referred to as the Hollywood Riviera, which sits towards the southern end of Redondo near Torrance Beach and Palos Verdes Peninsula. It has a slightly elevated bluff top feel and its own village-style shopping district. So let's talk about the two major areas, North Redondo and South Redondo. First, let's talk about North Redondo Beach and why it's different. On the map, North Redondo Beach lies north of 190th Street and south of Marina Avenue, east of Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach, and west of Artesia Boulevard, Hawthorne Boulevard, and Inglewood Avenue, placing it inland from the shoreline rather than directly on the coast. It borders the adjacent beach cities of Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach to the west and connects easily to major commuter routes like I mentioned before, like the 405 freeway and Pacific Coast Highway. North Redondo appeals to buyers who care deeply about functionality. Homes here are often set on a quieter street. You'll see more garages, more storage, and layouts that work for families and home offices. You still have a mix of condos and single-family homes here. However, there are more homes in North Redondo that are single-family homes under $2 million, which makes it a very appealing for buyers looking in that criteria. A main area to look in North Redondo if you're looking for single-family homes is the Golden Hills neighborhood. These are single-family homes known as the tall and skinnies. Something to note about these homes, they are on smaller lots. Honestly, 2,500 square foot lots, but they're 2 to 3 story homes, so you should be comfortable with stairs. A lot of these homes in this area are, built in the 70s, 80s. There are newer builds as well, but what I find so great about the Golden Hills is, especially for my buyers who are, first-time home buyers, they're wanting to start a family or they have a family, so they need more bedrooms. And they also need to be close to the highway for commuting, but then also say if their kiddos are in private school and they need to get there faster, North Redondo is a great beach city to have that first-time home buyer feel or relocation buyer to get to know the area. So a lot of times when I have buyers that are looking under that $2 million, but they also need a single family home, but they want to be in the beach cities, that's a great place to kind of start your search. So like I mentioned before, the commutes tend to be easier in North Redondo. Access to the freeway and job centers is more direct for people working throughout the South Bay or even in Los Angeles. And that convenience does matter to buyers. North Redondo also attracts buyers who want a more residential feel while still being close to the coast. It's less about the ocean views and more about just the everyday comfort of life. For many families, the trade-off really does make sense. Okay, so let's talk about South Redondo. So South Redondo, it is a classic coastal feel. South Redondo Beach is located along the shoreline of Santa Monica Bay. And on the map, South Redondo Beach generally sits south of Torrance Boulevard and Redondo Street and north of the city of Torrance, west of Pacific Coast Highway, and directly along the Pacific Ocean coastline. This area includes the Redondo Beach Pier, King Harbor, and most of the city's waterfront neighborhoods, making it more of that ocean-oriented section of Redondo Beach. It borders Torrance to the south and southeast and North Redondo Beach to the north and northeast, and stretches westward to the sandy beaches and coastal bluffs that define much of the area's lifestyle and housing. South Redondo Beach feels more like what people would imagine when they picture life here by the ocean. You do have more condos and townhomes here in South Redondo Beach. Here, home prices generally are a little bit more pricey compared to North Redondo Beach due to the proximity to the water. Areas like the avenues, you can find really charming beachy single-family homes. However, these homes are generally more expensive, $2.5 million or higher, and the trade-off is you are walking distance from the water. Walkability is a major draw here in South Redondo. Being able to stroll to dinner, coffee, or even water changes how people use their neighborhood. Homes in South Redondo often feel more connected to the outdoors. Even small patios or balconies get used daily. This area attracts buyers who value experience over space. They want the beach close and they want the sunsets to be part of their routine. It's a different lifestyle than North Redondo, and that choice is part of what makes Redondo so appealing. Another thing to note about South Redondo is it does take about 15 to 20 minutes to get to the highway. So if commuting is in your daily life, you may want to make sure that that commute time you're comfortable with. Okay, the last thing I will talk about is the Riviera, and that is something that I really think a lot of people pass. So the Riviera commonly is known, like I said before, the Hollywood Riviera, and is a distinct coastal neighborhood located primarily in South Redondo, with a small portion extending into Torrance. So that's really important to add that the Riviera has basically two different cities in one. You have Torrance and then you have South Redondo. So one of the things that I tell a lot of my buyers, if they really love that area, but maybe they want a specific school district, whether it's Torrance or Redondo, just double check the zoning because it does cut off at some point and transition into a new school district. Okay, so on a map, the Riviera sits south of Calamare, north of Palos Verdes Boulevard, west of Pacific Coast Highway, and just above Palos Verdes Peninsula. It's positioned along the coastline of the South Santa Monica Bay, offering hillside and ocean-adjacent neighborhoods overlooking Torrance Beach. The area is known for its elevated bluff-top streets, walkability, like I said, the village-style shopping center district along Catalina Avenue, and its location serving as a transition point between South Bay beach cities and then the Palos Verdes Peninsula. The Riviera also brings a slightly different energy. It feels established, elevated, personal. Streets are definitely wider here. Homes have character. There's a sense that people here care deeply about where they live. That sense of pride is really hard to manufacture, and it's one of the reasons why the Riviera continues to draw interest year over year. Many buyers in the Riviera are looking for something very much long-term. They want a neighborhood where people stay, where the kids grow up together, and where community matters. So the lot sizes here are normally bigger. So if a backyard's really important to you, this might be a great area to look. Okay, so let's talk about home prices and what you can actually find in Redondo Beach. I know we kind of touched on it, but let's do a deeper dive. Redondo Beach is not an entry-level market, but it's offering something many buyers are actively searching for: options and flexibility. So when you compare Redondo Beach to neighboring beach cities like Manhattan Beach or Hermosa Beach, the value conversation starts to shift. Right now, single-family homes collectively in North Redondo typically trade in the $1.5 to $1.7 million range on average, depending on obviously the size and the condition. Price per square foot generally falls below Manhattan Beach, often by several $100s per square foot. In South Redondo, especially west of Pacific Coast Highway and closer to the water, single-family homes tend to be closer to that $2.3 million to $2.5 million on average. And the ocean-adjacent properties can go significantly higher depending on the views and lot size. That spread gives buyers choices, and choices really do matter. Redondo offers more square feet per dollar compared to Manhattan Beach. It offers also more neighborhood diversity, a mix of also single-family homes, townhomes, and condos. It also offers price points at different price tiers. And North Redondo tends to attract relocation buyers and first-time single-family buyers within the beach cities. Why? Because you can still find detached homes, so single-family homes or detached townhomes under $2 million, which is increasingly rare in the other coastal cities nearby. Inventory also moves differently here. Well-priced homes in desirable pockets often receive multiple offers and move within 10 to 20 days. Overpriced or dated properties, especially those needing more of that cosmetic updates, tend to sit a little bit longer sometimes, between that 30 to 60 days. That tells you something important. Buyers are active here, but they are strategic. Now let's talk about new construction. If new builds are important to you, Redondo Beach offers more attainable pricing compared to Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach. Many newer detached townhomes in North Redondo, often 4 to 5 bedrooms at around 2,500 to 3,000 square feet, trade in that $2 to $2.5 million range. In Manhattan Beach, similar new construction can be exceedingly over $3 million, $4 million. And that gap matters for a lot of buyers long term. From an appreciation standpoint, Redondo Beach has shown steady long-term growth over the past decade. While it may not spike as aggressively as Manhattan Beach or Hermosa Beach during peak cycles, it also tends to experience more price stability during market corrections because of its broader buyer pool. And that's key. People buying in Redondo are often thinking 5, 10, even 20 years ahead. They're not just asking, can I buy here? They're asking, can I grow here? Can I stay here? Does this make sense long term? And that long-term ownership mindset helps support demand and keeps the market resilient. Redondo Beach doesn't just attract lifestyle buyers, it attracts strategic buyers. And that combination, lifestyle plus long-term value, is exactly why housing market here continues to stay active and competitive. Okay, so we talked about housing, location, and those kind of things about Redondo Beach, but I bet you're asking, what does outdoor life look like? Parks, beaches, and all those things. So Redondo Beach is especially appealing to families because outdoor space is built into everyone's routine. Parks are not an afterthought here. They're part of how neighbors function. There are about 33 parks here in Redondo Beach. That's including all the areas that we talked about in Redondo Beach. So kids play after school, families meet up on weekends, people exercise, walk, and unwind outside without needing a special reason. The beach itself becomes an extensive of their daily life. So quick walks, short visits, casual evenings by the water. That access encourages healthier habits and creates a lifestyle that feels, well, more connected. People move here literally just because they love being outside and they want that lifestyle in every day, not just on vacation. So let's talk about really why are families putting down roots here? Well, a lot of the reason is the schools. The schools play a major part of why people move here to Redondo Beach. Schools here tend to feel closely tied to the neighborhoods they serve, and the kids often attend school with neighbors and friends they see outside the classroom. In Redondo Beach, you will be part of the Redondo Beach Unified School District. They have 8 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. This does not include, obviously, your private school opportunities. So parents appreciate the sense of familiarity and accountability these schools offer. Beyond schools, the city supports families' life in a more of a quality of life way. So they have safer streets, they have a bunch of youth programs, parks that are well used and cared for. For many families, Redondo feels like a place where kids can actually be kids. This community feels connected, and that is another big reason why people love living in Redondo Beach. This isn't a place where everyone stays behind closed doors. Neighbors truly do talk. Parents know each other. Local businesses recognize familiar faces and support one another. We have a ton of community events here in Redondo Beach, school activities, and everyday routine naturally bring people together. That connection creates a sense of belonging, which is something many people are actively searching for when they decide to move. Redondo Beach has a high number of long-term homeowners here as well, and that matters. When people stay for decades, neighborhood stabilizes, homes are cared for, community pride grows. This long-term ownership also supports property values over time. Buyers aren't just cycling through, they're committing here. That kind of stability is attractive to buyers who are thinking beyond the next few years. When buyers compare South Bay cities to Redondo Beach, they consistently do say how much they love the community here. Not because it tries to be everything, but because it does a lot of things really well. Another thing is it offers coastal living without the chaos, and then also is great for commuting, opportunity without feeling impossible. For people who want a lifestyle that supports both ambition and balance, Redondo Beach continues to be a strong choice. Moving to Redondo Beach isn't just about buying a home. It's about choosing a way of life. It's about mornings that feel a little bit lighter, neighborhoods that feel familiar, and days that don't feel rushed. That's why people don't just move here, they stay. So I'm curious, out of all of this information, are you wanting to know a little bit more about Redondo Beach or maybe even move here? This place is truly a gem and I would love the opportunity to chat with you. Comment below if Redondo Beach is somewhere that you would want to move to, or ask me any real estate questions or tips here in the South Bay. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get more real estate tips and information here in the South Bay of Los Angeles. I post weekly. I would love to connect with you if you ever have any questions about what life is like in the South Bay or certain neighborhoods, or if you're thinking about buying here. Let's connect, and I will see you at the next video.